What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So it was just before Prague Pro this year when Martin Fitzwater made this announcement that he's gonna be doing FIBO Germany, and rumor is that FIBO Men's Open Class, which is gonna be happening for the very first time, that is gonna have a big paycheck for the winner, almost the same as the Pittsburgh Pro this year, which is gonna be $100,000. And that, I have got to say, is a lot of money, and that is gonna attract some big names to enter this show. Now, I don't think there is gonna be an Olympia qualifier this year, where at least two of Stefan's athletes, they aren't gonna be competing against each other. Because guess what? Sergio Oliva Jr. just hinted that he's looking at FIBO as the show of the year that he wants to compete in, and possibly win as well. Now, this announcement was made on Jonathan Warren's YouTube channel.
You said you had a show picked out, Sergio?
Yeah. So FIBO added an open class.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Is it a good? Yeah. What is the pay on that? Is that one of the bigger ones too? As like a normal, like.
Yeah. I know it's 100 G's, but
Oh yeah.
But honestly, I don't know. I just don't care about the money.
And I have to say this: love him or hate him, you have got to respect that idea of Sergio, that he wants to do a show where there are gonna be some big names, and he wants to go against the best of the best in the world, and he wants to prove his worth at that show, and also some big money as well. And Sergio's wish of competing against some big names, that might come true. Because Sergio entering FIBO against a guy like Martin Fitzwater, that will certainly be his last test on whether it's just a matter of not peaking 100% for the shows that he has done, especially in the recent past. Because the thing is, he hasn't been able to win any show since 2018. Or the fact that he just doesn't have the goods to go up against the best of the best in the men's open class. Because this is gonna be it. This is gonna decide whether Sergio can hang with the big boys. Now, for those of you guys who do not know, Sergio is now working with Stefan, and I sincerely hope he shows up at his all-time best. He is one of the bigger, taller guys in the men's open class, but according to his own stance, he hasn't been able to showcase that size because he just hasn't been able to peak 100% to the best of his ability. So FIBO is scheduled in the second week of April, and this will turn out to be a great show as well, because we are gonna see majority of the guys who are competing at the Arnold Ohio and the Arnold Brazil do that show as well. Next up, we have an update from Andrew Jack, looking really massive, and not to mention in a superb shape, less than 11 weeks out of his second Arnold Ohio. So will this gonna be a two-man show with Derek and Samson fighting for the Arnold title? Well, Andrew Jack is gonna make sure that he makes it more interesting, and he isn't gonna make it any easier for either of these guys. And I for one am really liking the fact that Andrew is looking all fresh and ready to push for this one, unlike last year, when his name was initially on the official Arnold list, and not just for the Arnold Ohio, but Arnold UK as well. But he had to withdraw from it because his body was just tired, and it just wasn't responding.
I can do more. Yeah. In my head, I'll be like, okay, you're just doing this. So rather, I'll focus on squeezing more. Yeah.
Now, this past Miss Olympia was kinda disappointing for Andrew Jack. And there is no sugarcoating anything, because the thing is, that was his chance to maybe crack into that top 3 at the Olympia level, because some of these other top guys, like Hadi and Derek, they just weren't at their all-time best. But the thing is, Andrew just also downgraded from his Texas Pro look. So him placing top 5 in the world, even after not showing up at his all-time best, that just proves that the man is so dangerous. And the moment he puts it all together, he probably is gonna win the Olympia. Now, we did saw some major upgrades in his physique, especially in his weak body parts, like his back, especially if we compare his Texas Pro last year's look to his Olympia look this year, which means Andrew is very much capable of bringing up his weaknesses, and we already know that the man is Miss Olympia from the front already. So how is Patrick Moore doing this upcoming Arnold? Benefits his professional career as him being a more competitive pro? Well, I have got to say I have no idea. Or has he accepted his fate that he most likely won't be getting back on the Olympia stage again because of the young competition that is coming up and improving at such a fast pace? Because the thing is, Patrick looked absolutely superb at his all-time best at this year's Europa Pro. He had that crazy conditioning, great aesthetics, beautiful lines. But even after being an open pro for so many years now, the judges just had the same feedback for him, that he isn't big enough yet, especially in relative terms, to the men's open standards. And that is why they aren't even considering him for a top 5 finish in an Olympia qualifier. And the Olympia qualifier that had a weak lineup. Now, I'm sure we can all predict where Patrick Moore is gonna place at this upcoming Arnold, which has an awesome lineup. And there are plenty of guys who outmuscle him, and that too by a lot. Now, I'm not a King Kamali fan, not by any means. But I have got to admit that he was the first one who put this idea out there, that Patrick should try competing in the classic physique division. Now, that idea seemed kinda stupid at that time, because Patrick was able to place top 10 at his Olympia debut. But ever since then, he has been struggling in all the major competitions that he has done. Now, you have got to really feel for Patrick, because he is in a very hard place. I mean, he took time off this year. He came back, did 2 shows, and did not even make top 5, while being at his 100%. Now, that just proves that men's open class, that has become so much competitive, especially in the last 3 years. And it will continue to get harder and harder, because there are some freaks like Good Vito coming into their own, and guys like Carlos and Justin Shire and so many others who are coming back. And once they get it right, it will be impossible for some of these veterans to be able to compete against all of these guys. So 2025 is gonna be remembered as the year of the comebacks. And one of those guys who I am really looking forward to see step back on the stage is a top 10 Olympian from last year, Charles Griffin. So Charles has been competing as a pro for so many years now. Way before that, some of these guys, like Nick Walker, Hunter, and some other top pros, they weren't even in the game at that time. And he had the privilege to step on the Olympia stage 3 times already. And this might be his final time. So waiting for him to make the announcement on what show he is doing next year. So this is most likely gonna be a version of Charles with a much better chest. Because that was the whole reason of him not competing at all this year. Him taking the whole year off. He wanted to bring his chest back up to a point that way it was like back in 2022. Now he has done a lot of different chest workouts to slowly build up that strength, because he had a great chest before, especially before that packed year happened. So one thing that you can bet on when it comes to Charles is that he will always show up bone shredded and absolutely ripped. Next up, we have the physique update from Seth Fosu. And although this is an announcement that his fans just don't wanna hear, because most of us were under the impression that he is gonna do a show in less than 3 months' time. Well, it turns out Seth is actually gonna go for a proper off-season instead.
Check your health, and then you're going to go into an off-season phase. I thought you were doing a show like soon.
No.
What are you talking
No,
about? We're all
there's no
waiting. We're all fucking waiting for you in Detroit. What do you mean?
And try to focus on building up his back. And I must say, that is a very realistic approach, because in this age of social media, even these professional athletes, they are kind of blindsided by all those comments, admiring how great they look. But the reality is, they're looking good on the stage against the top pros who have been doing this non-stop year after year, while Seth, in contrast, hasn't competed in almost a decade. They are totally different things.
My back needs to pick up. Like, my back needs work, my lower lats,
but you
my
can't.
lats.
Yeah, but Seth, you can't grow your back at 40 years old. You're done. Like, this is it. What you got now is what you're going to get on stage with.
Now, that being said, there is no doubt that Seth looks amazing in all of his recent updates. His quads haven't downsized, even though he is in his 40s now. But the back needs a lot of work. So we are definitely looking forward to him making this comeback sometime next year. But it is gonna take longer than some of us were expecting. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.